Welcome to the annual Civil Rights and Complaints Training, course number 410. In this training, we will review civil rights compliance in the Federal Child Nutrition Programs, or CNPs. During this training, you will gain an understanding of all mandatory civil rights training topics, identify the sponsor's responsibilities to maintain compliance with civil rights regulations, and be provided a list of available civil rights resources. The purpose of federal civil rights regulations is to ensure that CNP benefits are available to all eligible people in a non-discriminatory manner. All agencies receiving federal funds must implement civil rights requirements to be eligible for the CNP funding. The following is a list of protected classes that are covered under the CNPs: race, color, age, sex, disability, and national origin. There are additional classes listed in the non-discrimination statement, but these 6 are specific to the CNPs. Discrimination is defined as different treatment that distinguishes one person or a group of persons from others, either intentionally or unintentionally, by neglect, an action, or lack of action based on the protected classes. Some of the areas reviewers will look at during a review include determining the following: that a complaint procedure is in place, language accommodations are available for participants with limited English proficiency, or LEP, and accommodations are available for participants with disabilities. The reviewer will also review students' denied applications to determine if a disproportionate number of these applications were submitted by minority households. They will also observe the meal service to ensure all students are receiving equal benefits without discrimination. The reviewer will also look for whether or not a media release was done, if the sponsor has collected racial and ethnic data for their participants, if the And Justice for All poster is prominently displayed, if the current non-discrimination statement is on all program documents, and verify that all frontline staff are trained annually. All of these review topics will be expanded upon in this presentation. Title VI regulations require state agencies, local agencies, or other subrecipients to take reasonable steps to ensure meaningful access to the information and services they provide. This includes making a reasonable effort to ensure that the LEP population can access materials in their native language. Sponsors participating in the CNPs are required to provide language assistance to the participants and potential participants that we serve. If a person is denied access to the CNPs because of a language barrier, this could be a civil rights violation under the protected class of national origin. The more frequent our contact with LEP participants is, the more likely language services are needed and the greater responsibility we have to provide them. A person with a qualified disability may not be excluded from, denied benefits of, or subjected to discrimination in any program or activity related to the CNPs. An agency may not restrict access for participants with disabilities to programs, services, or activities because of architectural barriers, equipment barriers, the need for related aids and services, or the need for auxiliary aids. To meet ADA accessibility requirements, agencies must have a system in place to identify and evaluate office space, meeting rooms, and restrooms for accessibility by disabled persons. They must implement policies and procedures ensuring access for participants with disabilities to programs, services, and activities, and they must provide appropriate aids and services for persons with disabilities and must not have policies that limit participation by persons with disabilities. Sponsors are responsible for evaluating their buildings and developing procedures to ensure access. Accommodations must include but are not limited to the following: ramps for office accessibility, entrance areas accessible for persons in wheelchairs, and drinking fountains and water coolers accessible for persons in wheelchairs. Accommodations may also include a modification to the student's meal, which will be covered more fully on the next slide. If a child has a medical statement on file or an individual education plan that addresses a special dietary need, a sponsor or agency must reasonably accommodate that child. Potential reasonable accommodations a child may need include, but are not limited to, food substitutions due to food allergy or intolerance, or food texture modifications. For NSD guidance regarding reasonable accommodations, refer to the Modifications to Accommodate Disabilities Management Bulletin located in the Additional Resources section below this video. If a sponsor or agency is unsure if an accommodation is reasonable, they may contact the NSD Civil Rights Coordinator or Program Analyst for more information. The And Justice for All poster must be displayed in a prominent place. This includes anywhere food is served, such as classrooms, cafeterias and food stands, and also places where parents and the public can view the poster, such as the attendance office or another area where parents and the public have access. The displayed poster must be 11 inches by 7 inches. Posters can be requested from the NSD by phone at 800-952-5609 or 916-322-2135 or by email at hsashington@cde.ca.gov. You can also download poster translations at the USDA and Justice for All Guidance and Translations webpage. The link to this page can be found in the Additional Resources section below this video. The non-discrimination statement can be found on the Injustice for All poster and also on the NSD Civil Rights webpage. The non-discrimination statement also provides information on how to file a complaint with the USDA. It cannot be modified in any way, and it must be prominently displayed on all appropriate CNP and agency publications, websites, and informational materials. Please remember that the non-discrimination statement cannot be modified. The short version of the statement reads, "This institution is an equal opportunity provider." It can only be used on documents such as flyers and posters in a font no smaller than the text because they are by nature a one-page document. The non-discrimination statement does not need to be on menus unless they contain other information about the meal program. Here are some examples of the types of documents that must contain the non-discrimination statement: enrollment forms, employee handbooks, newsletters, brochures, websites, parent and student handbooks, print or broadcast advertisements, and flyers. Basically, anything that mentions the CNPs must have the non-discrimination statement prominently displayed. The requirement for public notification is monitored by the NSD and is required as a part of annual training. Sponsors operating the CNPs must include a public notification system that informs the public of the availability of the CNPs and notifies participants of program rights, policies of non-discrimination, and procedures for filing a complaint. This information must also be provided in alternate formats for persons with disabilities. Sponsors are responsible for annually training their subrecipients, including any other staff involved in CNPs. The sponsor must provide and maintain documentation indicating that the civil rights training occurred, the topics covered, and documentation of the participants who attended. The following is a list of mandatory civil rights training topics: collection and use of data, effective public notification systems, complaint procedures, compliance review techniques, conflict resolution, resolution of noncompliance, requirements for reasonable accommodations of persons with disabilities, requirements for language assistance, and customer service. Sponsors and subrecipients must establish a system to collect racial and ethnic data for potentially eligible populations, applicants, and participants in their program service area. This information must be maintained for 3 years plus the current year. This data will be used to determine how effectively CNPs are reaching potentially eligible persons and beneficiaries, and to identify areas where additional outreach is needed. Customer service is an important aspect of most of our jobs, and we must all do our part to ensure equal treatment in the administration of the CNPs. We do this by eliminating illegal barriers that prevent or deter people from receiving benefits and ensuring that our customers are treated with dignity and respect. In addition, we must ensure that staff and participants have knowledge of their rights and responsibilities, are provided accommodations when needed, and that the sponsor's behavior is not discriminatory. Overt identification is any action that may result in a child being recognized as potentially eligible or certified to receive free or reduced price school meals. Sponsors must ensure that a child's eligibility status is not disclosed at any point in the process of providing free or reduced price meals, including notification of the availability of free or reduced price benefits, certification and notification of eligibility, provision of meals in the cafeteria and at the point of service. For more information, refer to the Preventing Overt Identification Management Bulletin, the link to which will be provided in the referenced resources below. It is important to keep in mind that many times conflicts can be resolved before they become a complaint. To avoid potential civil rights complaints, keep the following in mind. Avoid the desire to place blame. Have good listening skills. Attempt to improve the situation. Communicate clearly. Sponsors are required to appoint a civil rights coordinator, develop and implement a written procedure to handle complaints regarding the CNPs, and have a system in place to document and track complaints. Sponsors must also make every attempt to help the complainant file the complaint and forward all discrimination complaints received regarding the CNPs to the USDA within 3 working days. If the sponsor is found to be out of compliance with any civil rights or program requirements during a review or as the result of a complaint, the sponsor must immediately take steps to correct the noncompliance and provide documentation that the noncompliance is permanently corrected. You can find information on civil rights requirements on the CDE USDA Civil Rights and Complaints webpage or in the CDE Civil Rights and Complaints Handbook. The links to these web pages will be provided in the referenced resources below. For any questions regarding complaints, please contact Heather Sashington, Civil Rights and Complaints Coordinator, by phone at 916-322-2135 or by email at hsashington@cde.ca.gov. This crediting information is included in the printable certificate of completion that is available after a brief course evaluation. Key area, Administration, 3000. Training topic, Human Resources, 3400. Learning objectives, Human Resources Management, 3410, and Employee Health, Safety, and Wellness, 3450. Crediting hours, 0.25 hours. Thank you for completing the Civil Rights and Complaints training. Select Next to complete a brief course evaluation and access a printable certificate of completion. Don't forget to select Submit after printing your certificate. Participation in this course is not recorded until you select Submit. You will then be directed to the Child Nutrition Program course catalog to browse other course offerings. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.